Yes, today we have a guest lecturer, Fatma Gül Öge. I would like to welcome Fatma Gül Öge and thank her for joining us today. I will try to introduce our guest in a few words. Fatma Gül Öge has graduated from the University of Manchester, Department of Architecture, and she has completed Part 1 and Part 2 in England. Since 2012, she has been working in Zone Plus Architecture and Engineering Office in Nicosia. And between the years 2018 and 20, she did her advanced master's degree on conservation of monuments and sites at University of KU Leuven in Belgium. And during this period, she had an internship experience at Antoni Gaudi'S Casa Batlló. Today, she will deliver her speech based on the conservation internship experience under the World Heritage Department of Casa Batlló in 2019. Some other important things to mention about our guest is her engagement with Chamber of Architects. Currently, she takes part in the Technical Committee on Cultural Heritage as a representative of the Chamber. She is also working in a team for the restoration of the St. George Church, which the Technical Committee and the UNDP has carried out together. In addition to these, she has been taking part in some volunteer work related to conservation and architecture, and she has received some honorable mention awards in different competitions since her undergraduate studies. Once again, I would like to welcome Fatma Gül Öge. We are very happy to have you today, and I'll leave the floor to you. But just one more thing I would like to add, that this presentation, Conservation of Modern Cultural Heritage, Antoni Gaudi'S Casa Batlló, is very important for our faculty, because in different courses we're actually dealing with very related issues: conservation management, cultural heritage management, and Mediterranean studies. And I'm sure our students will be very interested to hear about this internship experience. So I would like to thank Fatma Gül Öge from the beginning for her speech. Thank you. Yes,
Thank you.
I think we can start to our presentation.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Is it okay? Okay, perfect. So first of all, I would like to thank Professor Mentesh for providing the opportunity for me to project my experiences on my internship in this magnificent World Heritage Site. And let's move a slide. Okay, it's okay, right? It's working fine?
Yes.
Okay. So I will start. Is it okay? So I can start? I will start with introducing Antoni Gaudi and Casa Batlló, which I'm sure you all know about, as you mentioned. And I will then talk more on my internship, which is centered around 4 domains that are internal visibility, heritage responsibility, global expansion, and restoration and investigation. And they're all mainly part of my internship. And the internship is mainly focused on the management of the Casa Museum. And as final words, I will conclude my talk with my personal reflections regarding the process. Okay, so let's continue. I'm going full screen, so I'm turning off my camera, if that's okay. So universally recognized artist by his original and organic forms of architecture, exuberant facades and roofs, modular construction techniques, and functional and humanized spaces. His architecture represents a series of outstanding examples of the early 20th century building typology, design elements, and his naturalist and artistic work reflects iconographic and symbolic meanings as well as its religiousness. For example, Sagrada Familia is a very, very good example for its religiousness. The exquisite blend of working with multidisciplinary teams, the harmonization of color, light, materials, and geometry in his designs, the implementation of environmental considerations as well. For instance, he reuses the materials, ceramic materials, with using a trencadis technique. I will talk further about it in the other slides, and countless more details all make him an authentic creator. His exceptional creative contribution to the development of architecture and building technology in the late 20th and 19th and 20th centuries, resulted in 7 of his Buildworks inscription in the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1984 initially, and extensions were later made in 2005. So the 7 of his serially inscribed works include Park Güell, Palacio Güell, Casa Milà, Casa Vicens, La Sagrada Familia. It's the Nativity facade, so it's not the whole building, but the Nativity facade and its crypt, the crypt in Colonia Güell, and Casa Batlló, which I will be talking about. Gaudi's serially inscribed World Heritage Sites carry exceptional and outstanding creative contribution to the development of architecture and building technology in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, interchange of values closely associated with the cultural and artistic currents of its time, and are outstanding examples of building typologies in the architecture of the early 20th century. So moving on to Casa Batlló. Casa Batlló is located in the same block with Casa Amatier, this one, Casa Josefina Bonet, Casa Mujeres, and Casa Yeo Morera, which is the one in the corner. Along the famous Passage de Gracia, an avenue where the houses for the bourgeoisie were constructed, reflecting their wealth and social status. So it's this main road that they talk about. The building was originally built by Emilio Sala Cortez in 1877 and bought by Mr. Josep Batlló in 1903. Between the years 1904 and 1906, Antoni Gaudí reformed the building into its current appearance, where the facade was completely transformed. So this was the original facade. You can see it from this old picture also. And this is what Gaudí reformed the building into. So this is the recent one. The internal spatial organization was also redesigned, and an additional attic and roof terrace were added. So the building used to be shorter, and with the additional attic and roof terrace, it got taller. You can see it from this silhouette. The building reflects various artisanal work of wrought iron, wood, stained glass, ceramic tiles, and stone, where not only aesthetics but also function is well blended in. So this is the front facade, which faces Passage de Gracia, and this is its back facade with its own backyard. And some of the floors are accessible, for example, the ground floor, the roof terrace, the noble floor, and also, and this is the iconic window which people usually take photographs. So what he added into the building: natural light and natural ventilation are allowed into the furthest corner by large windows and skylights, where the choice of colors help to distribute the light uniformly. So this is the light well that I mentioned. Use of organic forms, materials, and colors evoke a sense of nature and marine inspiration. Usually, this is where the noble floor starts. It's the principal floor. And for example, the use of color and roof windows, it all gives the sensation of marine. And also with the use of glass, you can see it's like looking underwater, actually. This technique is used also on the facades and chimneys as a recycle strategy. So these are broken ceramics, basically, where the combination of glass, stone, and ceramics, specifically on the facade, portray an artistic canvas. In the facade, I mean, this is a rather further image, but this is the roof's image, and you can see the broken pieces of different materials on the roof and also on the chimneys here. The added loft provides service, storage, and laundry area for the tenants. This is the interior of the laundry area. And dragon-like roof terrace accommodates 4 chimney stacks designed to prevent draughts. Since 1990s, the building has been in the hands of its current owners, the Bernat family, where the several restoration and conservation work is still taking place. The works include the main facade and the building well restoration in 2001, a recent second facade restoration in 2019, and an ongoing restoration of the original stucco in the noble floor, which is the principal floor, as I mentioned earlier. The Casa Museum has been open to public since 1995, offering innovative cultural and architectural visits with numerous events and activities. After its inscription to the UNESCO World Heritage List in 2005, with a vigorous innovative management team, Casa Batlló's cultural and heritage values have been promoted universally. A recent example of Casa Batlló's innovative and immersive experience includes worldwide known media artist and designer Refik Anadol's living architecture of the Casa's front facade. And moving on to the internship, I was trained under the World Heritage Department in Casa Batlló, which was a newly developed area in 2019, with the inclusion of Amilcar Vargas, who also happened to be my supervisor. It is noteworthy to emphasize the significance of management in a privately owned World Heritage site because heritage, as a domain, functions under a strategic plan, not independently, but correlatively with other departments in this particular context. The internship mainly centered around its previous short-term management plan, which covered 2018 and 19, and structured in reference to 4 main domains in the heritage field, which is internal visibility, heritage responsibility, global expansion, restoration investigation, and additional topics that are relevant for Casa Batlló's management, which I will further expand in my talk. All the research tasks and missions, workshops and seminar participations and atelier visits were carried out as part of the aforementioned heritage domains Casa Batlló is targeting to achieve. The internship was completed with the effectuation of the outline of the 2020 until 2025 5-year management plan for Casa Batlló, which is mandatory for a World Heritage site. And each week was structured to cover the main subject areas depending on its significance and priority. So what each title basically means, I will dig them further. Internal visibility is briefly about the inclusion of heritage values in the contents and activities taking place in Casa Batlló with respect to its World Heritage status. Consequently, one of the major challenges about visibility and perception of heritage values are execution techniques. Capacity building is a prevalently used methodology in Casa Batlló to raise, develop, and improve awareness on its heritage values and World Heritage status. I participated in an origami workshop developed by Amilcar Vargas with a group of students between 6 to 10 years of age. Briefly, the workshop raises awareness on culture, heritage, UNESCO World Heritage through Patrimonito, which is a character adopted as the international mascot of the World Heritage Education Program. Its vulnerability of heritage and its protection by creating the UNESCO World Heritage Emblem through origami. So this is the outcome of this workshop with a team of 46 students. And these were the participated students. This is me, my other colleague. This is Amilcar, and these are the tutors and these are the kids. This workshop is also aimed to be performed with the Casa Batlló workforce also to associate and perceive their working environment better by means of its heritage values. Another participated event was the workshop with the Smithsonian Center for Folklife and Cultural Heritage. A part of the Casa Batlló workforce was trained in the ways and methods of interacting and communicating with artisans and heritage professionals for engaging and raising awareness for the local communities. The imminent event, which Casa Batlló will also participate in, will comprise the fields of world heritage, cultural heritage, and values. Another topic that we covered during the internship under internal visibility was the availability of contents. The Casa Museum receives millions of visitors annually through various events and activities. Thus, the heritage values and contents available to the visitors are substantial for the promotion of Casa Batlló, UNESCO and the World Heritage status, along with Gaudi'S work. In the operational guidelines and the third cycle of the periodic reporting, this is part of the management plan, the use of the World Heritage emblem is inquired. Thus, this is the emblem. One second. This one. Thus, we try to locate the uses of these emblems to find out their availability of these recognitions for public competence. Global expansion is the vice versa of internal visibility. It's the Casa's global expansion, basically. So this area concentrates around developing partnerships and cooperation with international institutions, which can help to support the heritage values of Casa Batlló by exchanging knowledge and information that can be beneficial for all collaborators, along with the promotion of Casa Batlló on various international domains. One of these international domains was in July 2019, Casa Batlló joined the European Heritage Volunteers Program. The collaboration aims to empower young people in the conservation area and understanding of World Heritage sites to foster traditional skills and knowledge of restoration to young generations and to raise the awareness among youth of the values, challenges, and importance of conservation of modern heritage. This program comprises of two main parts, which covers documentation, which is rather more practical, and investigation, which is mainly to do with analytical study. Documentation, the practical one. So during this time, two archives were visited during the workshop. The archive situated in Casa Amatller, which is the building next to Casa Batlló, and the archive in the Gaudí chair situated in the Universitat Politècnica de Catalunya, where the volunteers helped to document historical collections by cleaning, organizing, and digitalizing the originals to create a database for the inventory. This is one of the original drawings by Antoni Gaudí. The investigation was focusing on atelier visits, sustainability seminar, and was finalized with a Trencadís workshop. The visited ateliers included glass, wood, and ceramics, where artisans got to explain their work in details, its challenges, and working in the restoration of Casa Batlló, and their contribution, because all these artisans Gaudí was working with initially. The sustainability seminar highlighted the environmental agenda as well as its possible effects, the fragility of World Heritage sites, and the importance of conservation and management. The final activity was a Trencadís workshop where the technique was explained in details and the volunteers had the opportunity to create their own Trencadís piece, interpreting the facade of Casa Batlló. Being able to collaborate and participate in the activities with the European Heritage volunteers was a didactic exercise because the practical part with the inventorization of the archives will help to support the documentation of Casa Batlló, since reaching out as many data as possible will not only help to build up an archive for the Casa, but also enlighten the perception of the building and its restoration. Antoni Gaudí used to work with multidisciplinary teams and artisans with the delicacy of integrating environmental aspects in his designs. Thus, it was equally critical to consider the current environmental issues and sustainability aspects in relation to Casa Batlló as to comprehend each craftsmanship, their challenges by means of conservation for this specific building, and the contribution of innovation and technology to their traditional techniques. I would like to briefly explain the way the ceramic tiles were produced, as an example, that were used in different Gaudi buildings. For instance, this tile, which is used in Casa Vicens. So the artisan has a template of each color's pattern, which is and the template is a waxed paper, this one. And the template can be reused because it's waxed, and the coloring process won't damage the template when the ceramic is being painted. So each time a different color is applied. So you have the ceramic, you put, for example, one of these templates, you paint a color, and then you use another template and you paint the second color, and so on. And afterwards, the ceramic is then put into the oven. So this is how basically they work. And this was a ceramic studio that we visited. And the research part, there are countless networks that Casa Batlló as a house museum and as a listed cultural World Heritage Site can be a part of by means of heritage organizations, house museums, international and national prizes and accolades and events. To be able to create a network, a database was mandatory. And participation is important not only for international recognition and acknowledgement of the Casa, but also for sharing the vision and purpose of its purpose of Casa Batlló, networking, collaboration, and exchange of knowledge. I believe Casa Batlló is the most awarded cultural heritage site, and to be honest, having the database helps the museum as a guide to be able to globally expand. Restoration and investigation. This area aims to achieve in contributing to the existing knowledge, study and analysis of Casa Batlló, mainly through multidisciplinary processes that can certainly affect the conservation of Casa's heritage values. Thus, it was important to understand the existing values and qualities of this specific World Heritage Site to be able to comprehend the research made on its heritage attributes. Research and bibliography databases were created about different types of published works on Casa Batlló. Institutions, postgraduate works, researchers, professionals, and experts in the field of cultural heritage, conservation and world heritage and management, museum studies, sustainability and heritage policies, and similar subjects. Published work on Casa Batlló, books on conservation and restoration of built heritage, management of cultural sites, preservation and display, recordings and surveys, etc. So all this research was made and a database was created. And the practical part for restoration and investigation. As I mentioned earlier, Casa Batlló accommodates numerous artisanal works both on its exteriors and interiors. The visits made to the glass, wood, and ceramic and trencadis ateliers, and the chance to listen to the artisans talking about the challenges and delicacies of each craftsmanship was a unique experience to perceive and comprehend not only the construction methodology, but also the evolution of the craftsmanship over time. So this was a piece used on the roof, and it's the same atelier that was making the tiles for Casa Batlló and other Gaudi buildings. Consequently, the combination of available research data, atelier visits, and on-site experience was a great training, both theory and practice, to perceive the heritage values, spatial and material qualities, and intangible attributes of Casa Batlló, and to discuss the challenges and possible ways to overcome them during the restoration process. So they were working on the original stucco on the noble floor during our internship period in 2019. And the final part, which was about heritage responsibility. This this one covers the 2020 to 2025 5-year management plan outline. And the main goal of this area is to abide by the obligations and commitments derived from various heritage responsibilities of Casa Batlló by means of its values and characteristics, which can be achieved through a strategic management plan. After the completion of Casa Batlló's previous management plan, a 1-year strategic plan was exerted. This plan not only constituted the main outline of the internship, but also underpins the foundations of the following strategic management plan of Casa Batlló. The final task of the internship was to create the outline of the following 5-year strategic management plan, and each carried out exercise and participated activity, which I have been talking about, added an insight about the significance of setting out an understanding of the context and values, visions, targets, awareness of the risks and propositions in the preparedness, monitoring, and following up, thus a strategic management and action plan. To be able to have a better understanding of how a management plan was detailed and what it is composed of, a database of management plans was generated. Unfortunately, most of the previously inscribed sites do not have management plans, thus the database is composed mainly on the recently inscribed properties. A study on the main plan contents was made. The advisory body evaluations were examined for each plan to comprehend the primary needs and flows. The upcoming third cycle periodic reporting for Europe and North America was analyzed and reviewed, and the previous management plans for Casa Batlló were examined in advance before the generation of the forthcoming 5-year strategic plan outline. Working in a privately owned World Heritage Site that functions 365 days a year, not only as a museum, but also as a home for numerous events and activities, hosting millions of people requires a substantial management and action plan. After the synthesis of research and investigation, the outline plan is divided into 2 main parts. The first part, which defines main purpose of the management plan as an introduction and the works of Antoni Gaudí, whereas the second part focuses solely on Casa Batlló's management plan. The main sections include introduction about Casa Batlló's context, history, ownership, protection, instruments, awards and recognitions, and its main values. State of art focuses on its current management system and tools where main areas of knowledge, conservation and restoration, maintenance, events and activities, sustainable development and tourism aspects are introduced. In the management section, its purpose, review on the previous plan, of course, the following 5-year plans, methodology, management, conservation, education, capacity building, and social responsibilities are stated. Risk preparedness indicates various strategies considering possible risks and impacts, predictions, and plans. Monitoring and follow-up focuses on post-implementation of the primary management sections, the executive summary, and annex. One of the most significant factors that needed consideration was Casa Batlló, as a World Heritage Site, is a privately run business. Consequently, the requirement of its heritage responsibilities and the protection of its outstanding universal values, authenticity, and integrity should be designed in such a delicate way that both the visitors and its business model can also benefit from. Thus, the plan should be a symbiotic and collective mechanism. And coming to the end, my personal reflections and my last words. To be different, we work in a different way. This was one of the mottos that has been acknowledged and interiorized as a philosophy by Casa Batlló and its workforce. Their methodology of action was a great lesson learned through training and participation. Having the chance to experience this living building at various times of the day with different operational dynamics, I can unsubtly state that Casa Batlló, as both a World Heritage Site and a business, almost flawlessly functions 365 days a year in between various parameters, external factors, actors, targets, and numerous variable challenges. This is achieved through the implementation of their strategic management plan and business model together, whose fusion is the keystone in a building like Casa Batlló that tries to protect its values and qualities while progressively sustaining its dynamic and innovative structure. This makes it very hard not to notice the collaboration and coordination between various departments of Casa Batlló to achieve its visions and missions. Although we were assigned under the Heritage Department, we interacted and cooperated continuously with almost every area through various activities, for instance, the architectural and restoration related visits, capacity building workshops, social responsibility events, and so on. Consequently, beyond the confinement of every mission and task under each department, the ultimate vision of promoting the values and qualities of Casa Batlló as a World Heritage Site is processed holistically and multidisciplinary rather than unilateral. At last but not least, working with experts from different cultural backgrounds and professions was a great deed for building up both a professional and personal network. Casa Batlló is not only a house museum. Personally, it is a living place where the traditional fuses with the contemporary, offering the multilateral spectrum of cultural heritage to be experienced in numerous aspects where a family of experts cultivate and share the magic of Casa Batlló with love. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this speech and presentation. I would like to ask our students if they have any questions after this presentation. Sorry. It's a museum. Do you mean if there are any people living in the building? Yes, the question is, apart from the business side of it or commercial or the museum part of it, are there any residents living in the building? One of our
From what I know,
asking.
no.
Okay. Okay, we don't know. Yes, Dindara.
How many people are needed to manage the whole program, the whole museum program throughout the year? Like how many people are needed to run the program?
Okay, Dingara is asking about in the management plan, how many people have been working, if we have any idea about the
I don't think I can give a specific number because they had too many departments. It wasn't just, for example, the heritage department, but they had the IT team, they had the store team, which are the people, the designers who are responsible for Casa Batlló's store, the museum shop. And I mean, it's one of the places that I like to spend a lot of time at after making a visit to the museum, because their products are not only souvenirs, but also little bits and pieces that promote its the Casa's values. So you have the store, you have the IT department, you have the heritage department, you have the restoration department, you have the management department, the business management department. You have the people who are responsible for taking care of the facility, and they are a lot. They are a lot.
Okay, maybe any questions regarding to Fatma Gül Öge's experience, because that's maybe more important to know about. Yes, Dingara.
What inspired her to work, focus more on heritage sites?
Okay. The question is, what inspired to work in the conservation field?
Me.
Yeah, focusing on the conservation field.
Or my experience regarding Casa Batlló, like my inspiration to work there, or my inspiration to work in the conservation field?
Yeah, inspiration to work in the yes, Casa Batlló.
I mean, I think it's an opportunity not to miss, for sure, because every time I make a visit to Spain, Gaudi'S were always in my priority list to visit, and he's a worldwide known architect and designer, and he's an inspiration for us all. I think the way he used nature as an inspiration to biomimic nature in his buildings, in architecture, use traditional techniques. I think he always will be a pioneer and an inspiration in any architect, I believe, and it's an opportunity not to miss to be able to work there in not just Gaudi's building, but also in a World Heritage site. It was amazing.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions? I actually have a question. Actually, I'm just wondering, like, which part of the experience was most interesting for you? Like,
Which
was
part of
there
it?
something particular
I
during the
mean,
internship?
as an architect, I was like before my experience on Casa Batlló, I was thinking about how okay, like restoring or renovating a building physically was important. But I believe after my experience in Casa Batlló and also my experience in my master's, I think also managing it, monitoring it, sustaining it is also important. So to be able to balance both, I think would be the most interesting part, and having this specific building to function both day and night at different times of the day, at different times of the year, kind of makes it a unique experience because they are extremely successful and they somehow manage to work everything all together. There are millions of people coming in and out, visiting the house, but they somehow manage to make everything work flawlessly.
Yes, actually, the management part of conservation is the unseen part of it. So it's actually quite interesting to really understand the politics of it, the strategies behind it. So yeah, I can understand that very well. Um, any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Hazel?
How did you get that opportunity to work on such a big project?
How did you get the opportunity to be involved in this internship?
Actually, by networking.
Networking.
When I was doing my master's, there was a tourism conference, and also Professor Alia was there presenting. So we were going to eat out together at night after her presentation, and we were invited by my friends from tourism class to have dinner with them because they were also they had to show the people, the presenters also around the city and so they took them out to dinner and we also joined them, and I was sitting basically next to the guy who happened to be my supervisor in Casa Batlló at the dinner. So I think it's nice to network and socialize.
Yes, I think probably also because of your university's involvement in the
Yes, also
heritage.
that.
That's also important, maybe. Yeah.
Yes, it's all a combination of, I think, being, let's say, interested and involved in different events, not just focusing on one topic, but also expanding it. Tourism is a very, very big part in cultural heritage sites, I think. And the university provided us the opportunities to these two events that they are globally hosting. So we were also part of the event, our university. And yes, it was a little bit of everything, all combined.
Okay. I think we had another question. Yes.
As an architect, does she also have designs of her own?
Yes. I mean, yeah. The question is, as an architect, do you design? Do you make designs as well, I already answered it for you as
yes.
but maybe you want to extend the answer, like what type of works you are involved in the design works?
Well, nothing like Gaudi, I would say. But of course, you take the mentality behind, so you don't just depend on, let's say, mechanical methodologies, but also you try to integrate traditional methodologies like climate. You take into consideration and passive methodologies integrated in your design. But we do residential projects, mixed-use projects. We participated in hospital projects before, university department buildings and office buildings, similar.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I think we don't have any more questions. I would like to thank Fatma Gülega very much for this inspiring presentation. It was a pleasure to have you in our class, in our faculty as a webinar guest. So thank you very much and hope to have you again. Thank you.
I didn't really have any expectations for the university. I was blinded by the opportunity to be there. I came to seize the chance to get into someplace unique where only people like me exist. Well, I came from a different country, and the fact that I can combine my own culture with the culture that I see around me, with the architecture, the nature, and the people that I'm surrounded by, is what creates art, in my opinion. It's a little miracle of its own. I have this mindset, I have this idea, the inspiration that I can do something special.